The stars above Earth suddenly went dark. Not because night had fallen, but because something massive had blocked them out. Ships, thousands upon thousands of alien ships filled the space around the blue planet like angry metal clouds. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of humanity's hope, Earth's only orbital defense station. Through the main window she could see the enemy fleet spreading across the black sky like a disease. The ships were huge, each one bigger than a city. Their metal hulls gleamed with strange lights, and weapons that could destroy entire mountains pointed down at her world. "Captain," said Lieutenant Martinez, his voice shaking, "the scanners are going crazy. There are too many ships to count. At least 10,000, maybe more." Sarah nodded but kept her face calm. She had trained for this day her entire life. Every human alive had trained for this day. They all knew the aliens would come eventually. Earth's radio signals had been traveling through space for over a century. Someone was bound to notice them. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," Sarah ordered. "Channel open, Captain." A voice filled the bridge. It spoke perfect English, though it sounded like metal grinding against stone. "Primitive humans of the third planet. I am General Zethkar of the Krillian Empire. You will surrender immediately and prepare for occupation. Resist and your species will be destroyed." Sarah looked around the bridge. Her crew of 12 humans stared back at her. They were scared, but they trusted her. Behind them, through the big windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel. 7 billion people lived down there. Her people. Her responsibility. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she said into the microphone. "State your terms." General Zethkar's laugh sounded like breaking glass. "Terms? You are in no position to discuss terms, human. Look around you. I have 1,000,000 soldiers ready to take your world. Your single station cannot hope to stand against us." Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. 1,000,000 soldiers, you say? Yes, pathetic creature. 1,000,000 of the finest warriors in the galaxy. Surrender now, and perhaps some of your kind will be allowed to live as slaves. Sarah's smile got wider. She looked at her crew again. They were no longer scared. They were angry. Good. Angry humans were dangerous humans. "General," Sarah said slowly, "I have some good news for you." "What could you possibly say that would interest me?" "You said you have 1,000,000 soldiers." "That's perfect, because I have 1,000,000 targets." Silence filled the communication channel. Sarah could imagine the alien general staring at his instruments, trying to understand what she meant. His computers were probably running calculations, looking for the 1,000,000 human ships that must be hiding somewhere. They would find nothing. "You mock me," General Zethkar finally said. "I see only one small station. Where are these targets you speak of?" "Oh, they're not up here with me," Sarah said. "They're down there." She pointed at Earth, though she knew the alien could not see her gesture. "Impossible," the general said. "Our scans show no military installations on your planet. No weapons capable of threatening our ships. No armies large enough to matter." "That's because you don't understand humans," Sarah said. "Every man, woman, and child on that planet is your target, and every one of them is ready to fight." Another long silence. Then General Zethkar spoke again, his voice full of anger. "You lie. Civilians cannot fight trained soldiers." "It is impossible, is it?" Sarah asked. "Let me tell you something about humans, General. We've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've fought each other over land, over water, over ideas. We've learned every possible way to kill and be killed. And the most important thing we've learned is this. There's no such thing as a civilian when your home is being attacked." Lieutenant Martinez handed Sarah a datapad. She glanced at it and smiled again. "General, my sensors show your ships are beginning to enter our atmosphere." "Good. The hunt is about to begin." "Hunt?" The alien sounded confused. "You're bringing 1,000,000 soldiers to conquer Earth, but you're not conquering anything. You're walking into the biggest trap in human history. Every city, every town, every farm on that planet has been prepared for this day. We've spent 50 years getting ready for you." Sarah touched a button on her control panel. All across Earth, lights began to flicker in strange patterns. From space, it looked like the planet was winking. "What are those lights?" General Zethkar demanded. "Those are humans saying hello," Sarah said. 7 billion of them. Each one knows you're coming. Each one is ready. Ridiculous. Untrained civilians with primitive weapons cannot threaten the Krillian Empire. Sarah laughed. It was a sound that would haunt General Zethkar's dreams for the rest of his life. Primitive weapons? General, you have no idea what humans can do with primitive weapons. We once conquered most of our planet with sharpened sticks and rocks. We've turned everything from kitchen knives to farming tools into weapons of war. Wait until you see what we've done with our modern technology. The first alien dropships began to fall toward Earth like burning meteors. Sarah watched them go and felt proud. Those ships carried elite soldiers, trained from birth to conquer worlds. They thought they were landing on a helpless planet full of scared primitives. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Captain," said Ensign Park from the communication station, "we're getting reports from the surface. The first dropships are landing in major cities around the globe." "And?" "The cities are ready, Captain. Operation Hometown is active," Sarah nodded. Operation Hometown had been humanity's secret project for decades. It looked simple from the outside, just people living normal lives in normal cities. But every building had been modified. Every street had been prepared. Every human had been trained. The aliens thought they were conquering a world. They were actually walking into the most complex military trap ever created. "General Zethkar," Sarah said into the microphone, "last chance to retreat, never. My soldiers will crush your pathetic resistance in hours." "Your soldiers are about to learn something important about humans," Sarah said. "We don't just live on this planet. We are this planet. Every rock, every tree, every building is part of us. And we don't like uninvited guests." The communication channel went silent. General Zethkar had probably cut the connection to focus on his invasion. That was fine. Sarah had said everything she needed to say. She turned to her crew. "All right, people. The aliens wanted a fight. Let's give them one they'll never forget. Martinez, contact Earth Command. Tell them the party has started." "Yes, Captain." Sarah looked out at the alien fleet one more time. Those ships represented the most powerful military force in the galaxy. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had never lost a battle. Today, they were going to learn why humans had a saying. "Welcome to Earth. Now go home." The first explosions began to bloom on the planet's surface like deadly flowers. The invasion of Earth had begun, but so had humanity's response. The first Krillian dropship landed in New York City at exactly 14:32 local time. The massive metal beast crashed through the roof of what used to be Madison Square Garden, sending concrete and steel flying in all directions. 50 elite Krillian soldiers poured out of the ship, their advanced armor gleaming under the afternoon sun. Commander Vashitar was the first to step onto human soil. He raised his energy weapon and scanned the area. The streets should have been full of screaming civilians running for their lives. Instead, he saw nothing. The city was quiet. Too quiet. "Scan for life signs," he ordered his squad. "Commander," his lieutenant reported, "sensors show thousands of humans in the surrounding buildings, but they're not moving. They're just waiting." Vashtar frowned. This was not normal. When the Krillian Empire invaded a world, the locals either fought immediately or ran in terror. They did not wait quietly in buildings. "Move out," he commanded. "Standard formation. Secure the area." The soldiers advanced down what had once been Broadway. Their heavy boots echoed off the empty street. Windows lined both sides of the road, dark and silent. Vashitar felt something he had never experienced before during an invasion. Nervousness. That's when the first shot came. The energy blast came from a window 50 floors up in a building to their left. It hit Trooper Keldan in the chest, dropping him instantly. His armor had not even slowed the blast down. "Sniper!" Vashtar shouted. "Return fire." But before his soldiers could respond, more shots came. Not from the same window, but from dozens of windows in dozens of buildings. The Krillians found themselves in the middle of a deadly crossfire with no cover. "How are they penetrating our armor?" His lieutenant screamed as another soldier fell. Vashitar did not have an answer. Krillian battle armor could stop any primitive projectile weapon. But these were not projectile weapons. These were energy blasts, just like their own weapons. But that was impossible. Humans did not have energy weapons, did they? 2 blocks away, in the ruins of what used to be Times Square, Tom Rodriguez crouched behind a makeshift barrier. In his hands was something that looked like a hunting rifle, but it definitely was not a hunting rifle anymore. The barrel glowed with soft blue light, and strange cables connected it to a backpack-sized power unit. "Target acquired," Tom whispered into his radio headset. "Alien soldier, 200 meters northwest corner." He squeezed the trigger. The weapon hummed softly and spat out a bolt of pure energy. The alien soldier dropped like a stone. "Nice shot," came Sarah Kim's voice through his earpiece. Sarah was 3 buildings over with her own modified weapon. "That's number 4 for you today." Just getting started, Tom said. He was a mechanic by trade, but for the last 10 years he had also been part of Earth's secret preparation program. Every human adult had been part of it. They had learned to fight. They had learned to modify their tools and weapons. Most importantly, they had learned to work together. The aliens thought they were fighting an army. They were actually fighting an entire civilization. In London, the Krillian ground forces were discovering that human buildings did not behave like normal buildings. What looked like a simple office complex was actually a maze of hidden passages, trapdoors, and concealed weapon positions. Soldiers would enter a room only to have the floor collapse beneath them, dropping them into spike-filled pits. In Tokyo, entire city blocks turned out to be giant mechanical traps. Streets that looked normal would suddenly tilt, sending alien vehicles sliding into carefully prepared kill zones where humans waited with weapons that used to be industrial mining equipment. In Moscow, humans had turned the subway system into an underground fortress. Alien soldiers who tried to use the tunnels for cover found themselves lost in a maze that led nowhere except to more human ambushes. General Zethkar watched the reports come in from his command, ship high above Earth. Every update was worse than the last. His soldiers were dying, but they could not find the enemy. The humans seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Sir, his aide reported, we've lost contact with 60% of our ground forces. Impossible, Zethkar said. Our soldiers are the finest in the galaxy. These humans have no military training. Sir, with respect, the humans appear to have considerable military training. Our forces report that every human they encounter is armed and dangerous. Even their children carry weapons. Zethkar stared at the tactical display. Red dots representing his forces were disappearing faster than he could count. This was not an invasion anymore. This was a slaughter, but his soldiers were supposed to be doing the slaughtering, not the other way around. Order the fleet to begin orbital bombardment, he commanded. If we cannot take the planet intact, we will destroy it. Sir, our ground forces are still down there. They are acceptable losses. The massive ship's main weapons turned toward Earth and began to charge. But before they could fire, alarms began blaring throughout the command ship. Sir, we have incoming missiles. Hundreds of them. Zethkar looked at his screens in shock. The missiles were coming from Earth's surface. But the planet had no missile defense systems. His scouts had confirmed this years ago. The first wave of missiles struck his command ship's shields. The shields held, but barely. Then the second wave hit, and the third. Where are these weapons coming from? He roared. His tactical officer's face was pale with fear. Sir, our computers are analyzing the missiles. They appear to be modified human civilian spacecraft, cargo ships, passenger shuttles, even private vehicles. But they've been weaponized with our own technology. Our technology? How? Unknown, sir. But the energy signatures match our own weapon systems. Down on Earth, Captain Chen smiled as she watched the data streams from the surface. Humanity's greatest strength had always been their ability to adapt and learn. When the first alien scouts had visited Earth's solar system 5 years ago, they had left behind small pieces of their technology. Humans had found those pieces. They had studied them. They had learned from them, and then they had made them better. Every human city had been secretly preparing for this day. They had taken alien technology and combined it with human engineering. The results were weapons that the aliens did not expect and could not defend against. In the sky above Paris, a Krillian fighter pilot suddenly found himself being chased by what looked like a modified crop duster. The small human aircraft should have been no match for his advanced fighter. But the crop duster was firing energy bolts that could punch through his ship's armor like paper. How is this possible? He screamed into his radio. His answer came from Marie Dubois, the farmer who was piloting the crop duster. She had been spraying pesticides on her fields just yesterday. Today, she was hunting alien aircraft with weapons that used to be farming equipment. Welcome to Earth, she said in perfect Krillian. Humans had been studying alien languages for years too. The fighter pilot's ship exploded in a ball of green fire. All across the planet, the same scene was playing out. Humans were using everything from modified cars to weaponized kitchen appliances to fight the invasion. They were not just defending their world. They were teaching the aliens a lesson that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. Never underestimate humans, especially angry humans defending their home. General Zethkar watched his invasion force disappear from his tactical displays. In just 6 hours, he had lost more soldiers than in his previous 50 campaigns combined. For the first time in his long military career, he was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. Humans were not primitive. They were not helpless. They were not easy prey. They were the most dangerous species he had ever encountered, and this was only the beginning. General Zethkar had conquered 47 worlds during his long military career. He knew how invasions worked. First, you overwhelmed the enemy with superior numbers and technology. Then you broke their will to fight by destroying their command structure. Finally, you occupied their territory and forced them to surrender. But Earth was different. Earth was wrong in every possible way. Status report, he demanded from his command staff. Major Hethron looked up from his tactical display with haunted eyes. Sir, we've lost 700,000 soldiers in the past 2 days. Our casualties are beyond acceptable limits. 2 days, Zethkar repeated slowly. In 2 days, these primitives have destroyed 70% of our ground forces? Sir, they're not primitives. Whatever intelligence reports we received about this species were completely incorrect. The humans have weapons that match or exceed our own technology. They have tactics we've never encountered, and every single one of them appears to be a trained soldier. Zethkar walked to the main window of his command ship. Far below, Earth continued to fight. He could see explosions lighting up the dark side of the planet like fireworks. Each explosion represented another failed assault by his forces. How many worlds have we conquered? He asked quietly. Including Earth, this would be our 215th world, sir. And how many of those worlds continued fighting after we demonstrated our superior firepower? Major Hethron checked his records. None, sir. Most surrendered within hours. The most stubborn held out for 3 days before accepting defeat. It has been 2 days since we landed on Earth. Have any human cities surrendered? No, sir. In fact, our reports indicate that human resistance is becoming stronger, not weaker. This was the part that Zethkar could not understand. Every species in the galaxy followed the same pattern when faced with overwhelming force. They fought briefly, suffered casualties, and then surrendered to save their remaining population. It was logical. It was sensible. It was what any intelligent species would do. Humans were clearly intelligent. Their technology proved that. But they kept fighting even when victory was impossible. They kept fighting even when their casualties were enormous. They kept fighting as if surrender was not even an option. Down in the remains of Sydney, Australia, 8-year-old Emma Watson crouched behind a pile of rubble with her grandmother. Emma held a device that looked like a toy ray gun, but it was actually a modified medical scanner that could detect alien life signs through walls. Grandma rose. There are 3 aliens in the building across the street, Emma whispered. 2nd floor, room facing us. Rose Watson nodded and spoke quietly into her radio. Sniper Team 7, this is Grandma Rose. Package confirmed, 2nd floor, building 12. 3 targets. Confirmed, Grandma Rose, taking the shot. 3 soft energy bursts lit up the night. 3 aliens died instantly. Good hunting, 7, Rose said. Then she turned to Emma. Come on, sweetheart. Let's find more bad guys, Emma grinned. She was too young to understand the full horror of war, but she understood that aliens had come to hurt her family and friends. That made them the enemy. And her grandmother had taught her that you always fought the enemy with everything you had. This was what General Zethkar could not comprehend. To the Krillian Empire, war was a military matter handled by trained soldiers. To humans, war was a family matter that involved everyone from children to elderly grandparents. In Cairo, a group of alien soldiers had taken cover in what they thought was an abandoned museum. They quickly discovered that the museum was full of booby traps and that the ancient artifacts were actually explosive devices disguised as pottery and sculptures. The museum's elderly curator, Dr. Hassan al-Mahmoud, watched from a hidden position as the aliens triggered trap after trap. He had spent 40 years studying ancient warfare for his exhibits. Now he was using that knowledge to turn his museum into a fortress. Fascinating, he murmured as he watched. An alien soldier step on a pressure plate that activated a modified sarcophagus filled with military-grade explosives. The old ways still work. In Berlin, a team of alien engineers was trying to repair their damaged communication equipment. They had chosen an abandoned electronics store as their temporary base. What they did not know was that the store belonged to Klaus Müller, a master electrician who had spent 3 years wiring the building with hidden electrical traps. When the aliens touched the wrong circuit, 50,000 volts of electricity coursed through their armor. Their advanced technology meant nothing against basic electrical engineering, applied with human creativity. Back on the command ship, General Zethkar was receiving reports that made no sense according to everything he knew about warfare. "Sir," Lieutenant Vorak reported, "our forces in Mumbai report that they are being attacked by a group of humans ranging in age from 6 to 90 years old. The attacks are coordinated and extremely effective. Children and elderly civilians are attacking our soldiers?" "Yes, sir. The human children appear to be acting as scouts and communication runners, while the elderly humans are directing tactical operations. Our soldiers report that the old humans seem to know exactly where our forces will move before we move there." Zethkar felt a headache building behind his eyes. "What about their adult population?" "Fighting on all fronts, sir. But here's what our intelligence officers don't understand. The humans don't seem to have a military command structure as we know it. There are no generals giving orders from a safe distance. Every human group operates independently, but they all coordinate perfectly with each other. That's impossible. Large-scale military operations require centralized command and control. Sir, the humans appear to have some kind of distributed command system. Every human seems to know what every other human is doing, even without direct communication. It's like they're all part of the same organism." This was another concept that alien minds could not grasp. The Krillian Empire was built on hierarchy and specialization. Soldiers followed orders from officers who followed orders from generals, who followed orders from the Emperor. Each person had a specific role and did not deviate from it. Humans had hierarchy too, but they also had something the aliens lacked: improvisation. When Captain Chen's original battle plan stopped working, every human soldier, civilian, and child adapted instantly. They created new plans on the spot. They changed roles as needed. They turned every street corner into a potential ambush and every building into a fortress. Most importantly, they all shared the same goal: protect Earth at any cost. In Stockholm, Sweden, a Krillian assault team had cornered a group of human civilians in a school. The aliens prepared for an easy victory against helpless targets. Instead, they found themselves facing a coordinated defense led by the school's teachers and students working together. The history teacher used her knowledge of ancient battle tactics. The chemistry teacher turned the science lab into a bomb factory. The maintenance staff knew every hidden passage and ventilation shaft in the building. The students ran messages between defenders and helped set up ambushes. What should have been a simple mop-up operation turned into a 6-hour siege that ended with the destruction of the entire alien assault team. General Zethkar reviewed the casualty reports for the 3rd time, hoping he had misread the numbers. He had not. "Major Hethron, in your professional opinion, what would it take to successfully conquer this planet?" The Major was quiet for a long moment. "Sir, I don't think it's possible." "Explain." "Sir, we've conquered worlds with populations 10 times larger than Earth, but those worlds had military forces that we could identify and destroy. Earth doesn't have a military in the traditional sense. Earth is a military. Every human is a soldier. Every building is a fortress. Every city is a battlefield that has been prepared for decades specifically to fight us." Zethkar nodded slowly. "Continue." "Sir, our casualties are approaching 80%. Our remaining forces are demoralized and confused. The humans show no signs of weakening or surrendering. If anything, they're becoming more effective as they capture and study our equipment. And their casualties? Unknown, sir. Our forces report killing thousands of humans, but new human fighters appear faster than we can eliminate them. It's as if the entire planet is one giant military academy that's constantly producing new soldiers." General Zethkar stared out at Earth one more time. The planet looked so peaceful from space. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. It was hard to believe that such a beautiful world contained the most dangerous military force he had ever encountered. For the first time in his career, he began to consider the possibility of retreat. But first he would try one more strategy, something that had never failed before. He would offer the humans a chance to negotiate. Surely, no species was so stubborn that they would refuse to discuss terms when faced with total annihilation. He was about to discover just how wrong he could be. The communication request came at dawn on the 3rd day of the invasion. General Zethkar had swallowed his pride and reached out to the humans for the first time. Since Captain Chen's initial defiant response, Captain Chen received the call in her new command center, hidden deep beneath the ruins of what used to be Geneva. The original orbital station had been destroyed by alien bombardment 12 hours ago, but Chen had escaped in time. The aliens thought they had killed Earth's military leader. They were wrong. Earth had thousands of military leaders, and Sarah Chen was just one of them. General Zethkar, Chen said calmly, "I was wondering when you'd call." "Captain Chen, I am surprised you survived the destruction of your space station." "Are you? You really don't understand humans at all, do you? We're very hard to kill. What do you want?" Zethkar tried to keep his voice steady and professional. "I wish to discuss terms." "Terms for what?" "Terms for your surrender, of course." Captain Chen's laughter echoed through the communication channel. It was not a pleasant sound. "General, let me explain something to you. We don't surrender, ever. It's not in our nature. Be reasonable, Captain. My remaining forces can still destroy your major cities. Millions of your people will die." "Millions of our people are already dying," Chen replied. "That's what happens in war. The difference is we're taking a lot more of you with us than you expected." This was true. Zethkar's invasion force had been reduced to less than 200,000 soldiers. Nearly 800,000 Krillian warriors were dead, captured, or missing. It was the worst military disaster in the Empire's history. "Captain, surely you can see that continued resistance is pointless. Even if you kill all my soldiers, the Empire will send more fleets. We have unlimited resources." "Do you?" Chen asked. "Because from what I'm seeing, your unlimited resources don't seem to be very good at fighting humans." "How many fleets are you willing to lose? How many soldiers are you prepared to sacrifice? Because I promise you, General, every alien who sets foot on Earth will die here." Zethkar felt something cold in his stomach. He had heard absolute determination before, but never like this. Captain Chen spoke with the certainty of someone who had already accepted death and moved beyond it. "You cannot possibly win," he said. "Even if you defeat my invasion force, you cannot threaten our ships in space. You have no space fleet, don't we?" As if summoned by her words, alarms began blaring on Zethkar's command ship. His tactical officer shouted across the bridge, "Sir! Multiple contacts approaching from the asteroid belt. Unknown ship types." Zethkar ran to the tactical display. Dozens of objects were moving toward his fleet at incredible speed. But they were not ships. Not as he understood ships, anyway. "What are those?" he demanded. His sensor operator studied the readings. "Sir, they appear to be asteroids, but they're moving under their own power. And they're armed." Captain Chen's voice came through the communication channel, and Zethkar could hear her smiling. "General, meet Earth's space fleet. We've been building it for the past 20 years. We just kept it hidden where you wouldn't look for it. The first modified asteroid slammed into a Krillian destroyer. The impact alone would have been devastating. But the asteroid also exploded, releasing thousands of smaller projectiles that tore through the alien ship's hull like paper." "Impossible," Zethkar whispered. "You cannot weaponize asteroids. General, we're humans. We can weaponize anything. We've had 20 years to prepare for your arrival. Did you really think we'd spend that time sitting around waiting to die?" More asteroids struck the Krillian fleet. Each one was different. Some exploded on impact. Others split apart to release swarms of smaller missiles. A few actually opened up to reveal hidden human pilots who began attacking the alien ships from inside. Zethkar watched his fleet die and finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. The humans had not just prepared their planet for invasion. They had prepared their entire solar system, sir. His communications officer called out. "We're receiving transmissions from the asteroids." They're singing." "Singing?" "Yes, sir." Human voices. They appear to be singing something called the Star-Spangled Banner and God Save the Queen, and dozens of other songs in different languages. Captain Chen's voice cut through the alien confusion. "Those are our national anthems, General. Every asteroid is crewed by volunteers from different countries. They wanted you to know where they came from before they died." This was another human concept that aliens could not understand. The idea of dying for abstract concepts like countries or flags was completely foreign to the Krillian mind. They fought for territory, resources, and survival. Humans fought for ideas. In the asteroid belt, Commander Lisa Park guided her rock toward the largest alien ship she could find. Her asteroid had started life as a simple mining station. Over the past 5 years, she and her crew had hollowed it out, filled it with explosives, and added engines powerful enough to push it at incredible speeds. "This is Asteroid Command 7, she announced over the radio. "We are on final approach to target. It's been an honor serving with you all." Similar announcements came from dozens of other hidden human bases throughout the solar system. Humans had been living and working in space for decades. When the alien threat became known, they had simply converted their mining ships, research stations, and colony habitats into weapons. The aliens had been looking for a traditional space fleet. They had never thought to scan seemingly harmless rocks and space debris for signs of human habitation. Back on Earth's surface, the tide of battle was turning even more dramatically. The remaining alien ground forces found themselves facing a new threat: humans using captured alien technology. In what used to be Mexico City, Roberto Sanchez led a team of mechanics and engineers who had been reverse engineering alien weapons and vehicles. They had learned to pilot alien dropships, operate alien armor, and use alien communication systems. "Team 3, this is Roberto. I have visual on an alien supply convoy, moving to intercept." His team swooped down and modified alien aircraft using the aliens' own tactics against them. The convoy never saw them coming. Within minutes, tons of alien supplies were in human hands. But the humans did not just steal alien equipment. They improved it. Dr. Yuki Tanaka had been a quantum physicist before the invasion. Now she led a team of scientists who were finding ways to make alien technology work better than its original designers had intended. The aliens built their weapons for efficiency, she explained to her team as they worked on a captured energy rifle. But humans build for effectiveness. "Watch this," she activated the modified weapon. Instead of the standard alien energy beam, it fired a burst of plasma that was 3 times more powerful than the original design. "How did you do that?" asked her assistant. "Simple. The aliens designed their weapons to conserve energy and minimize recoil. We don't care about either of those things. We just want to kill aliens more efficiently." General Zethkar watched the destruction of his fleet and his army with growing horror. In 72 hours, the humans had destroyed the largest invasion force in Kryllian history. They had done it using everything from primitive firearms to captured alien technology to weaponized space rocks. But the worst part was not the military defeat. The worst part was that the humans seemed to be enjoying themselves. "Sir," his aide reported, "we're intercepting human communications from around their planet. They're celebrating." "Celebrating?" "Yes, sir. They're treating this like some kind of festival. They're sharing stories about their victories, singing songs, and making jokes about our forces." Zethkar listened to a sample of human radio chatter. Someone in Australia was describing how they had used a modified sheep-shearing tool to cut through alien armor. Someone in Canada was laughing about how they had trapped an entire alien squad in a hockey rink filled with ice and explosive pucks. These humans were not just defeating his army, they were having fun doing it. "Captain Chen," he said into the communicator, his voice barely above a whisper. "Still here, General. Ready to discuss surrender yet? My forces are defeated. My fleet is destroyed. But surely you can see that this war is pointless. Even if you drive us away, other species will eventually come to your world. You cannot fight the entire galaxy." Captain Chen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was soft but absolutely certain. "General, let me tell you something about humans. We don't fight because we think we can win. We fight because it's the right thing to do. If the entire galaxy wants to come to Earth and try to hurt our people, then the entire galaxy is welcome to try. We'll be ready." Zethkar closed his eyes. He finally understood why his intelligence reports had been so wrong about humans. His scouts had looked for military installations, advanced weapons, and strategic advantages. They had never thought to look for the most dangerous weapon of all: the human spirit. "General," Captain Chen continued, "you can still leave. Take your surviving soldiers and go home. Tell your empire what you learned here. Maybe they'll be smart enough to leave us alone. And if they don't, then they'll learn the same lesson you did, the hard way." General Zethkar looked around his damaged command ship. He had lost 90% of his invasion force. His fleet was in ruins. His reputation was destroyed. 6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, General Zethkar stood before the Kryllian Imperial War Council. The Great Chamber was filled with the Empire's most powerful military leaders, all of them waiting to hear his explanation for the greatest defeat in their history. Emperor Kethvar himself sat on the crystal throne, his 4 eyes glowing with barely controlled anger. General Zethkar, you were given 1,000,000 soldiers and the finest fleet in the galaxy. You were ordered to conquer a single primitive world. Instead, you returned with fewer than 50,000 survivors and no ships larger than a scout vessel. Explain. Zethkar had spent months preparing for this moment. He had reviewed every battle report, studied every human tactic, and tried to understand how his unbeatable force had been completely destroyed by a species that barely had space travel. Your Imperial Majesty, he began, the intelligence reports about Earth were completely wrong. The humans are not primitive. They are the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Admiral Vossitel stood up from his seat. Impossible. Our scouts confirmed that Earth has no significant military technology. No energy weapons, no force fields, no space fleet of any consequence. That was true when our scouts visited Earth, Zethkar replied, but the humans learned from that visit. They captured pieces of our technology and reverse-engineered everything. By the time our invasion began, they had weapons that matched or exceeded our own. Even if that were true, interrupted General Morthak, superior weapons do not explain how a handful of civilians defeated 1,000,000 trained soldiers. Zethkar had expected this question. It was the heart of the matter, and the hardest thing for the Imperial Council to understand. Honored generals, the humans do not have civilians as we understand the term. Every human on that planet was a soldier. Every building was a fortress. Every street was a battlefield that had been prepared for years specifically to fight us. Emperor Kethvar leaned forward. You are saying that an entire planet of billions of individuals all coordinated to fight a single battle? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. That is exactly what I am saying. The council chamber erupted in laughter. The idea was so absurd that many of the generals thought Zethkar was making a joke. No species in the galaxy could coordinate billions of individuals for a single purpose. It was logistically impossible, but Zethkar did not laugh. He waited for the noise to die down, then activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. This is footage from the Battle of New York City, he said. The hologram showed human defenders fighting from windows, rooftops, and sewers. But that was not the remarkable part. The remarkable part was how perfectly they coordinated with each other. Every human seemed to know exactly where every other human was and what they were doing. Watch carefully, Zethkar said. See how the human child in the blue shirt signals to the woman on the rooftop, who then signals to the man in the tunnel below. None of them are using communication devices. They are using a system of signals that every human knows. The hologram continued. It showed similar scenes from dozens of human cities. Children acting as scouts. Elderly humans directing tactics, adults fighting with weapons that had been cobbled together from alien technology and human engineering. Every human on the planet knew their role, Zethkar explained. From the youngest child to the oldest grandfather, they had been preparing for our arrival for decades. Not just the military, but the entire species. Admiral Vostell studied the hologram with growing unease. How is such coordination possible? Even our most advanced military units cannot achieve this level of integration. Because, Admiral, humans do not fight for territory or resources or conquest. They fight for something they call home. And when humans fight for home, they become something beyond our understanding. Zethkar changed the holographic display to show the space battle around Earth. Asteroids modified into weapons. Mining ships converted into attack vessels. Research stations turned into missile platforms. They weaponized their entire solar system, he continued. Every piece of space debris, every abandoned satellite, every mining operation became part of their defense network. We were not fighting an army. We were fighting an entire civilization that had turned itself into a weapon. The council chamber had grown very quiet. Even the most aggressive generals were beginning to understand the scope of what Zethkar was describing. But surely, said General Horthen, once you demonstrated the futility of resistance, they would have surrendered. Every species surrenders when faced with overwhelming casualties. Zethkar shook his head. Honored General, that is perhaps the most dangerous misconception we can have about humans. They do not surrender, ever. The more casualties they take, the angrier they become. The angrier they become, the more dangerous they are. He changed the display again. This time it showed human communications intercepts from the final day of the invasion. Listen to this, he said. A human voice filled the chamber, speaking in clear, unaccented Krillian. This is Sergeant Thompson, 3rd Battalion. Texas Defense Force, we just lost half our unit. But we captured 2 alien dropships and a weapons cache, passing coordinates to all human forces. Let's show these aliens why you don't mess with Earth. This is Dr. Patel in Mumbai. My hospital was destroyed, but we saved the children and relocated to backup position 7. Medical teams are treating wounded soldiers and getting them back into the fight. We will never give up. This is Captain Rodriguez in Madrid. The aliens have taken the city center, but we still control the underground tunnels, initiating Plan Omega. If we cannot save the city, we will make sure the aliens cannot use it either. The voices continued. Hundreds of them, thousands of them, all saying the same thing in different words. We will never surrender. We will never stop fighting. We will make you pay for every inch of our world. Emperor Kethavar sat back in his throne, his expression thoughtful. General Zethkar, what is your assessment of human military capabilities? Your Imperial Majesty, if we sent 10 million soldiers to Earth, we would lose 10 million soldiers. If we sent 100 million, we would lose 100 million. The humans will keep fighting until every last one of them is dead, and they will kill at least 10 of us for every one of them we kill. And their technology? They learn faster than any species we have ever encountered. By the end of our invasion, they were using our own weapons better than we could. They were flying our ships, wearing our armor, and using our tactics. But they also combined our technology with their own innovations in ways we never imagined. Zethkar brought up one final holographic display. It showed a human child, no more than 10 years old, carrying what looked like a toy laser gun. This weapon was built by human engineers using a combination of our energy technology and their own miniaturization techniques. It has more firepower than our standard infantry rifle and weighs less than half as much. The humans are not just learning from our technology, they are improving it. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, Emperor Kethavar spoke. General Zethkar, what do you recommend? Your Imperial Majesty, I recommend that we declare Earth and its solar system to be a forbidden zone. No Krillian ship should ever go there again. No contact of any kind should be attempted. The humans should be left completely alone. And if they develop space travel and begin to expand into the galaxy, Zethkar had thought about this question many times during his long journey home. His answer was simple and certain. Then we should welcome them as allies and pray to our gods that they never become our enemies. The Emperor considered this recommendation for several minutes. Around the chamber, the most powerful military leaders in the galaxy waited for his decision. General Zethkar, the Emperor finally said, your recommendation is accepted. Earth is hereby declared a forbidden world. Any ship that approaches Earth space without Imperial authorization will be destroyed by our own forces. Your Imperial Majesty, may I suggest that we also send a message to our allies and trading partners? They should know what happened here. What kind of message? A warning, Your Imperial Majesty. We should tell them what we learned about humans. We should make sure that no other species makes the same mistake we did. Emperor Kethavar nodded slowly. Draft the message, General. Make it clear to every civilization in the galaxy that Earth is not to be disturbed. 6 months later, the message had spread throughout known space. It was simple, direct, and terrifying. To all spacefaring civilizations, the species known as humans inhabiting the 3rd planet of the Sol system are to be avoided at all costs. They possess military capabilities far beyond their apparent technological level. They fight with coordination that defies explanation. They weaponize anything and everything. They never surrender. They never retreat. They never forgive. Any species that attacks Earth will face complete destruction. This is not a threat. This is a promise based on experience. The Krillian Empire learned this lesson at the cost of 1 million soldiers. Do not repeat our mistake. Back on Earth, Captain Sarah Chen read the intercepted alien communications with satisfaction. Humanity's radio telescopes had detected the Krillian warning message as it spread from system to system. Well, she said to her staff, it looks like our reputation is starting to